is a photo of some poppies from Pixabay, and I chose it because I liked the very large poppies in the very, very low horizon line. So most of the background is really just this giant cloud bank and sky. So for my image here, I've sketched in where the poppies are going, but I don't see any reason to do any masking. I really just want to put in the sky over all of it and then add in all the flowers afterwards. So for the sky, I'm going to use a couple blues. This is aqua and cloudy blue and some blending solution. I'm going to float the blending solution over the piece first. Sometimes these inks will stain if they hit the paper first. They'll probably still stain, but at least it'll be a little bit better. So I'm putting a fair amount of blending solution on, and alcohol is just fine. Doesn't need to be blending solution. I'm actually going to just wipe it over everything to make sure we didn't miss any spots. And that does mean I'll probably pick up a few cotton ball fuzzies in the way. And I'll add some ink. I'm going to just dab through with the cotton ball. And we did really pick up some stain. I was hoping to avoid that, but no luck. So I'll just add a little bit more ink over it. So interestingly, it looks like only the cloudy blue had the stain and not the aqua. So that would be helpful to know. I'm just going to break it up a little bit. And I'm kind of sweep through it to see if I can get rid of the cotton ball fuzzies. Okay, we'll let our very pale sky dry. For our poppies, we're going to just directly paint, and I'm going to start right front and center with the red poppies, and I'll be using red pepper. Putting that in the weld palette, and I'm going to paint these 3 red poppies. I'm just putting in the paint as it is. Adding the ink rather thickly through this part here and more thinly as we come out toward the edges to maintain control. But we'll be adjusting these colors with some lifting. The poppies over on this side are closer to wild plum, so I will go with that. I'm going to leave the red on my brush, and I might just tint that wild plum just a little bit. Again, we'll be lifting and highlighting these. And then there's several smaller ones through here. So for the next step, I'm going to put in the stems, and I think I'll use a green marker for those and just pop them in, and that'll give me some guidance about where to put the additional poppies. So those are the main stems. Now I'm going to just add in some other ones, and I'll try to be kind of light with them. We have, I think they're finer than the width of this marker, but I'll come back with the brush. I'll add in these more purpley ones in the background, and then add some of the redder ones. And this is the red pepper for some of the red ones. That one looked a little bit big there. So the horizon is actually really low. It's about in here, and we can just add some grass in here to make that horizon, and then some trees. I think it will benefit the piece to have that be visible. So I think I'll start with this lighter green, and we'll go with citrus. I'm just going to kind of fill in where the horizon might be. And for the darker trees behind, this is some bottle. Probably will have to go a bit darker than bottle, but we can get started. So now we've at least pushed these poppies with a view upward, so that we have the ground down here. We're definitely looking up. And I'll continue just adding some foliage. This is back to that citrus. I'm just going to run the brush through a lot of what I've already painted on, because right now it's pretty messy. But we're looking for kind of a field, you know, a very loose look. Probably won't show much of this part. This is back to the red pepper. I'm just going to dab in some more red poppies. This is some sunset that's kind of set up in the palette. And I'm going to touch it in with the reds to get a little variety of color in there. Also going to add it into some of the poppies that we have here. It's so thick that it's really acting more like a red than the orange. So in that case, I'll use it for some of the darker values. So in order to push that back further, I need some darker colors. This is eggplant. I'm going to put it over the green. In this kind of liquidy state. It may not appear to be that dark, but it'll thicken up. I'm going to use it in some of the wild plum poppies for some dark values. And a little bit even in our more red poppies. You can also take the eggplant and just put some strokes of darker color through the grasses. This is the cotton swab and alcohol. I'm going to lift out some lights in the poppy petals. This is a dark green marker. Just working on the trees here. And kind of another lighter green marker, just adding some more color. I want our poppies up here to be the star of the show, but we need to kind of fill in some of this. And there's lots of little different patterns. We can add those in the end. These little dots and seeds. This is a nice fine one. This might be a good candidate for our little thinner grasses. So this is the next day, and I'm starting by putting on a 5x7 mat just to see how much of the painting would reasonably fit in that space. And we have about that much. And I'd like to just use that as a guide as I continue working. So my general sense is that we're close, but everything's looking a little bit clunky still. So there's not a lot of fineness in any of these parts. So I want to work on that. I want to darken this tree line some more and just add more fine detail. So I put some eggplant and some espresso in the wheeled palette to thicken. So we'll use that for those trees. And I'll start with the Poppies swab and some alcohol and just kind of make some of these lines a little bit thinner. And this is the eggplant. And the espresso. This is the sepia pen. Just going to add some lines in here with it. So I've got some stems that are coming up into the flowers that I haven't quite popped in yet. And I'd like to do a little bit more finer lifting in the flowers. This is a little bit more wild plum for these poppies. I think they need an additional color in them. This is kind of a hot pink. I don't think it's the color that's really the color in the photograph, but I just want a little bit more variation. This is a lighter pink that I'll use to do a little lifting. And I think I'll take a look at it and see what we think about it. So with the matte on it, I like it, the less we see of this bottom, the happier I am. But I want to do something to it a little bit. And I found another green marker. My problem is that I want something really, really fine. Like I wish I had a pen like this in green, but I don't. But this has a pretty sharp point, and I think I can add some really fine lines with it if I just kind of gently drag it over the surface. We're just about there. I'm going to use the white pen for just a couple little highlights through some of this area that's very dark. Upon further reflection, I think that I would like to do a little splattering. So this is the alcohol and the 1-inch chip brush. And I'm going to concentrate on the area that's got the undergrowth here. And we'll let that settle out and see where we are with that. Oh, there's a surprising amount of splatter in that one. So I'll have to do a little bit of reconstruction here. This is the citrus. Not sure how much of this will be in the picture frame, but this is the wild plum. And this is some red pepper. This is the cotton swab with a little alcohol to just kind of break up some of the new areas we added the ink back in. And I'll take a look at that.